Hello everybody, my name is Andres Barrera. I am presenting with Foundry today, which is a Hispanic Hackers program. In this video, we are going to be going over how to set up your creator suite. So what that means is, as part of our bootcamp, Foundry, we will be using a lot of different applications, different online tools and resources. And so our goal is to get you as a boot camper onboarded with all of these tools beforehand, so that when it comes up to use these tools, you will have it already pre-installed on your system, you already have an account, and you'll be ready to go. So that's essentially what we want to accomplish today. This document will be shared with you on Discord, so if you're looking for this resource, please look on Discord. Essentially what this document covers are all of the different tools and accounts that we will be using during Foundry. In terms of online accounts, we'll be using Google, GitHub, Figma, Versel, AWS, and then I also have some optionally listed resources which is up to you whether or not you want to install them or use them. These include Canva, Fillout, and MailChimp. These are all accounts that you can access online, so you don't actually have to install anything on your system. Meanwhile, in terms of applications and code packages, we will be installing Inkscape, VS Code. Optionally, you can install Figma's desktop app. However, Figma's desktop app isn't necessary. You can actually access Figma online. And then optionally, you can download GIMP, which is a open source image manipulation platform. And then in addition to that, we will be installing the NodeJS, which is a JavaScript runtime package. JavaScript is what we will be using in this class to build our applications. Python, which is a high-level interpreted programming language. And then Golang, which is optional. I recommend it for building apps. It's really great because it's a statically typed compiled programming language, and we'll explain what that means later on in the course. However, we're not going to go over the optional resources today, but I do recommend Golang as well. Some other free resources, which this list will be expanding throughout our course. But to start off with, you can use Coolors, which is a color scheme generator. Photopea, which is very similar to Photoshop. SVG Viewer, and Photopea is online, so it's web-based. SVG Viewer, which allows you to create SVGs for free, and it also has a huge library of SVGs. Google Fonts, which provides web-friendly fonts and are free, and it's provided by Google. Undraw, which is a collection of open-source illustrations, which are really useful for presentations. And Unsplash, which offers high-quality free stock photos. And I've used all of those before on different projects. So without further ado, let's get started. Our first task will be starting a Google account. If you already have a Google account, you can go ahead and skip this. Go ahead and go to google.com. So if you don't already have a Google account, you're going to come over to the sign in button. You're going to get a screen like this, and you're going to come down to create account. And in this case, because we are starting a lean project, we don't want to pay for all of the business stuff. And we also don't want child restrictions. In terms of running a lean project, we want to put for my personal use. So now we have our Google account, which is great. You can customize it if you want to by clicking this little pen tool. You can add your own profile picture. So I'm going to do that real quick. There we go. Let's move on to creating a GitHub account. So now you're going to want to go to github.com. We're going to want to hit the sign up button. We're going to enter our new email, andres.hispanichackers@gmail.com. If you already have your own email, just put in your own email, and you didn't create a new email. And I'm going to create a password. Suggest new password. There we go. And now I'm going to say Andres Hispanic So in this case, GitHub wants us to type in alphanumeric characters or single hyphens. That would mean something like this. So that's going to be my username. I would recommend, if this is your first GitHub account, to just make your username your name. Okay, so after a little bit of finagling, I was able to verify my account and sign in. And so now that my account has been verified, essentially I have the GitHub dashboard. This is as far as we need to go in this tutorial about GitHub. So we are going to move next to creating a Figma account. So now we can go into figma.com like this. What we are going to do is we are going to say, let's get started for free. And we are going to continue with Google. So we are going to use our Google account. It'll ask you to choose your account and then hit continue. And when you hit continue, it should go ahead and log you in. So now we're going to give ourselves a name. I'm going to put Andres Hispanic Hackers. Can I put parentheses? There we go. I am going to put software development, other, and then let's put nobody, just me. We want to skip adding collaborators. I'm all for not giving them data, so I just go other. And then, have you used Figma products before? If it's your first time, which for most of you it probably is, let's go ahead and say, no, it's my first time. So it'll ask you which plan you would like. We want the starter plan, so we are going to hit starter and hit continue. And then we are going to hit skip. And this is essentially as far as we need to go when it comes to creating our Figma account. As you can see, our name is generated. It already loads our photo from Google. And so all of that is set up. If you want a dark theme, you can switch to dark. That's about it. One thing I want to note is that you are able to download a Figma application onto your desktop. I have it down here. However, it's not necessary. You can do all of your Figma designing on the web, just like this, on www.figma.com. So that is great. We've created our Figma account. Next, we are going to create a Versel account. So we're going to go to versel.com, VERCEL, and we are going to click sign up. So we are going to sign up. Let's say I'm just working on personal projects, so we can keep things lean, and I'm going to put my name, Andres Barrera. I'm going to hit continue, and then we're going to connect a Git provider. In this class, we are using GitHub, so it's important that we already have our GitHub account set up when we get to this step. We are going to go ahead and connect with GitHub. So we have our GitHub. Mine was Andres-Hispanic Hackers. I'm going to use my password like that and hit sign in. So Versel would like permission to do etc. We are going to authorize Versel, and then it will load us in. So let's skip their demographics questionnaire, and we can now import and install our Git repository and application. I'm going to click on this just to check. Okay. Yeah, so go ahead and hit install like I just did, and then it should connect with your Git repository. So now we have our Git repository added to our Versel account. After signing up for Versel, we are going to actually skip AWS, mentioned in our setting up your creator suite documentation, just because it's a little bit time intensive and a little bit more commitment focused. So when we get to deployment, we'll go ahead and set up an account with AWS then. Now we're going to move on to downloading some applications. So we can get out of this Versel window and we are going to download first Inkscape. So go ahead and go to inkscape.org, and Inkscape's a great tool for creating SVG graphics such as logos, images, etc. So now what we're going to do is we are going to go to download, and where you want the current stable version, which should take you to a download page like this. Now you'll have a couple different options depending on your operating system. I use Mac OS, but they have a version for Windows and a version for Linux. For Mac OS, choose your architecture type. In order to know your architecture type, you go to the Apple logo and About My Mac. Now I'm using the Apple M2 Pro, which is the ARM64 architecture. However, a lot of people use the Intel chips, which are like the i7 or i9. So mine are ARM64. It's going to download. And once it is downloaded, we should be able to find it in our downloads. Double click on it like this. And then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to drag and drop Inkscape into your applications folder. From there, it should be installed. So in my case, I have my Inkscape in my applications folder. When I open it, it looks like this. And it comes up with a couple different ways to set up your first project. So I'm going to get rid of Inkscape now. That is as far as we need to go with Inkscape. We have that set up. Next, we are going to download VS Code. So now what we can do is we can type in VS Code. Aha. The actual URL is code.visualstudio.com. And when you open up this page, it might auto-detect your system. For me, it's saying download for Mac OS. However, if we go up and click this right button right here, it gives us some more options. So here it gives us an option to download for Windows, Windows 10 and 11. It also has a Debian, Ubuntu, Red Hat, Fedora, and SUSE options for Linux distributions, and then it has a Mac version. So what you're going to want to do is download the Mac version, and then again go to your downloads page or folder, open up Visual Studio Code, and you can go ahead and open that with confidence. So this is Visual Studio Code now, and now we have the application available for use. And what opened for me was this Visual Studio Code because I already have Visual Studio Code installed. Okay, so that is how you install Visual Studio Code. The last things that we are going to install are our code packages, the first being NodeJS. So we're going to go and look up Node or Node.js. NodeJS.org is where you install the runtime. So you go to this page and you hit, we can go to our downloads window here. Now, this will give you an option for installing Node.js. This will allow you to choose which version you want to download. I typically go with the version that it recommends because this is the stable version. And we are going to download this version, which is 20.18.0, on our selection of operating systems. So Mac OS is my operating system. And then we are going to use a specific kind of package manager, I believe. NVM is what? NVM is, yeah, the package manager, I believe. Node version manager. There we go. So NVM is referring to the Node version manager. You can also manage your versions using a package manager like Brew or FNM or Docker. but I like the Node version manager when we're, applying it ourselves. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to copy this code and then head to your terminal. So for me, my terminal for Mac OS looks like this. It's in the other folder and it says terminal. And what I can do now is I can copy this code to the clipboard, come into my terminal, and I can paste. And all you have to do is paste and hit enter. And it will go ahead and download NodeJS onto your computer. So I'm getting NVM is already installed. So the first thing it tries to do is install NVM. And then it says down here that it's installing Node. It's getting the Node version. So when I get Node V, which is what it's running, it gives me my version. So that should be all you have to do to install Node.js. If you have any issues, please let me know. Feel free to message in Discord or email me over my email. Next, we are going to install Python. So I'm going to type in Python. And you can find the Python download at python.org. Now head to the downloads button, and we are going to download the latest version. So hit that download button. Now when we open up our downloads, that download button, by the way, is showing for Mac OS because I'm on Mac OS and it's auto-detecting my system. But if you're on a different operating system, you can use these buttons to download for other operating systems. So now we're going to go back to our downloads button. We are going to open our package. We are going to hit continue in the installer. We are going to hit continue again, agree to the terms and services, and then we are going to hit install. Now the installation is going to go through its process, and when it's installed, you should have an application like this. It should say idle, which is the Python IDE. You might also have the Python launcher, but when you open it, it should look like this. It'll basically give you a shell for writing Python code. For example, the print statement, you can print hello world like that, and it'll print hello world for you. So that's Python. So now we can get rid of that IDE and X out. Now that we have Python installed, I believe that's all that we have to install for this lesson. So a couple other free resources I'd love to highlight is Coolers. You can find it at coolers.co. Okay, so go ahead and hit Start Generator to use Coolers. And the way that Coolers works, you can go through the tutorial, but essentially the way that Coolers works is you hit the space bar to change your color palette. So I can keep changing my color palette. And then when I see a color that I like Santos here, I just lock it, so I can lock it to hold it. And I also really like Azul. So I'm going to lock both of these colors, and then I'm going to hit space again, and it's going to find the next set of colors that kind of match with these colors that I've already locked. I like Poppy, so I'm going to save, and I'm going to keep moving through my color palette until I find a color set that I really like. So this is how Coolers works. Now, another thing I'd like to highlight is PhotoP. This will be used, all of these tools are going to be used in our tutorial. PhotoP, which I can start using PhotoP just like this. I can create a new project, and it could be anything. It could be a print, it could be a photo, it could be mobile. There are all these different project sizes. For example, business card. And then it works just like Photoshop, where you can go ahead and create, for example, a rectangle or an ellipse. You can go ahead and select areas and fill them with like the paint bucket tool, for example. This layer is not editable because it was a shape layer, but there we go. So this works just like Photoshop. We might go through this. I'm not too sure if we will or not. In video 2, I still have yet to record that, but I will keep you posted. The cool thing about PhotoP is that it's free, and the reason it's free is because, well, this is referring to the shape of this selector tool, but it's free because of these ads. So just bear in mind that you will be using ads. The alternative is to download and purchase Photoshop. Another tool I would love to highlight is SVG Viewer. SVG Viewer is great because it allows you to view your SVG images and their code. And we'll talk about SVG images in the next video. However, it also has this huge library of SVGs. So say I want a dog icon. I could type in dog, get my dog icon, and then I can even edit parts of it or optimize it. So I hit optimize, I can optimize it, and then I can change, for example, the fill. So I can come in and say fill is red and make my doggy red. And so you can change different parts. This is the little face part, so I can change this to be white. And whoops, without the pound sign. And now his eyes are white. So that's really cool, and there's a huge library of all of these icons that are editable. And again, we'll go over SVGs in the next video, but it could be anything. It could be warning, and you get all of these warning signs and symbols. And you can view the collection. Oh wait, that's the wrong one. It was still stuck on dog. But essentially that is SVG Viewer. It's a great resource. There's also Google Fonts, which you can find at fonts.google.com. This gives you a library of fonts to choose from. So this is really great, for example, Montserrat. And if you want to download it, you hit get font and you can embed it or download it. And we'll go through that. In addition to fonts, you have icons. So if you click icons, you can come in here and you can type in warning or topics like that and get a bunch of icons that work for that symbol, very similar to SVG Viewer. And you can download the SVG or PNG version. You can change the colors. So we can do red here like that. And we can change the size default. In addition to that, there is Undraw. Undraw, if you hit browse now like I just did, will allow you to select a color. So I can even type in red like that, or I can select one of these that are already pre-built in. And essentially what it does is it gives you SVG graphics. For example, this is a switch controller, and you can change the color that the switch controller appears in based off of the color that you give it. So these are really versatile, free, open source graphics. And if you want to search something in specific, you could search something like, we can type in code and hit enter. And when we get code, we get all of these cool graphics for code. These graphics are really great for designing your pitch deck, your website, things like that, because they look nice, they look clean, and they look professional, and they all give an emotion, right? The last open source resource is Unsplash. And what Unsplash is it is a basically library of free open source images. And I used this a lot when I was traveling for my travel blog to fill in pages that I hadn't taken pictures for yet. For example, if I want to type in Bangkok, these are all open source free pictures of Bangkok. And so say you want a picture, and they don't have watermarks either, most of them. This one does. But say you want a picture of this temple here, which is the Grand Palace in Bangkok. You can take this picture and download it by downloading free. You can either credit them or not credit them. I always love to credit them, but it's not necessary to give credits for these images. And there's a variety of beautiful, beautiful images like this one of Ekamai. And this is making me miss Bangkok now. But I'll be back eventually. So essentially, those are the free resources and tools that we are signing up for and using in this program. Again, don't worry about AWS. We'll get to that at a later date. I'm really excited to have you all in the program and can't wait to get things started. Keep posted for video 2, which will be how to design a brand using a plethora of different resources, some of which we've already signed up for. Take care, y'all, and I'll see y'all in the next video.